is 2.3 million for 340, and completion date will be October 31. So meaning it has already been completed as of end of year. Now, also mentioned here, no, ship 340 was completed and ready for use in October 2019 and will be placed in service in May 1, 2020. Now, si ship 341 has 1.150 million. Ship 342 has 1.2 million. And the question here is about ship 343, which will be finished on or will be completed in January 31, 2021, which is 2 years later from 2019, 750,000. So it's our question here is 2020. So if we're going by 2020, that's 1 year later. 1 year and 1 month actually. I know, sorry. 1 month later, sorry, January 31, 2021, when I said December 31, 2020, 1 month later, it's January 31, 2021. Sorry. And in the perspective of December 31, 2019, ay nag-type. Ansa man? Ansa PLOS Arceo? Do you have question?
Sorry, sir, napislitan ra.
Okay. So, okay, sige. So, construction cost for each ship, no? So, were as follows. So, 341 is 1.2 million, 342 is 1.6, 343 is 2.2 million, 343 is 2.2, and 344, no, mga bago ni sila ng mga project which were made in 2020, si 344 and 345, 810, and 360. Okay, so we have here our borrowings. So general borrowings of 2 million and 8 million, which has 12% and 10%. Okay, so on January 1, 2020, Oceanwide borrowed 2 million specifically, not for the construction of ship 343. So the loan was for 3 years with interest at 13%. So we have 3 loans here. So the 8 million and the 2 million, which are general borrowings, and we have specific borrowing for ship 343. Okay? Which is 2 million and has a 13% interest. So the question here only asks about ship 343. So di na ta mag bida-bida kay daghan kini sila. So let's just focus on ship 343. Take note, guys, is that ship 343 is on its second year already in 2020. So therefore, we have beginning balance of 750, no? Natay 750 nga beginning balance. So what do we do with beginning balance, diba? So we still include that now when we are going to be determining the average expenditures. Okay. Now, let us start. So, di ba, when we do or when we compute for borrowing cost, no, we start first with step 1, which is getting the weighted, Step 1, which is getting the weighted average capitalization rate or interest rate. Weighted average cap rate. Cap rate na lang ako sulat ha. So, sorry, it's so small. Okay. Okay, so in getting the weighted average capitalization rate, no, again, this is only specific for general borrowings. So for general borrowings, we have 2 million as our principal, and we have 8 million. 8 million. They both have, I'm gonna total it na lang, daan, sum. They have 12% and 10% interest rate, no, respectively. So, nasa lahat na interest rate. Anong wala? May suga ako ng keyboard. Uy, dali lang. Ito ko kita. How to on this with the lights. Yun lang ha. Cable. Tabala, hindi ay. Okay. So, in computing for their annual interest, so let's compute first. 2 million times 12% and 8 million times 10%. Tama ba? 8 million, 10%, 2 million, 12%. So we total the two, and we have 10 million or 1 million 40. Now in getting, di ba, in getting the weighted average capitalization rate, we just simply divide the total interest with the total principal. So we get our weighted average interest rate of 10.4%. And again, guys, another thing that you should remember, no, is that the actual interest that is to be capitalized should not exceed the 1 million 40. So let's go to step 2. Step 2 is that we get the average expenditures. Okay. So average expenditure na to, only related to ship 343 is that ship 343 has a beginning balance of 750. So take note, guys, now the beginning balance, if we have multiple years construction period, the beginning balance should include the interest no nga na-recognize sa katunga year. So 1/1/2020, we have 750,000. No? Panos ani siya nahuman? It was finished on January 31, 2021. So if we're going to be counting from January 1, 2020 until January 31, 2021, that is 13 months. No, since 13 months pa man siya, so it should be until end of the year lang, which is December 31. So mag-max lang ta og 12. Dili ta mag-13. Max 12 lang ta kay mag-close man ta sa tong year end sa December 31. So outstanding for 12 months, so what we do, we multiply the 2. No? Oh my God, di ko kita sa multiplying a sign. And that's 9 million. And another expenditure that we did, no, on this project, amounting to 2.2 million, which is made on July 1. So July 1, how many months outstanding? July, August, September, October, November, December. So this 2.2 million is outstanding for 6 months. So 7 1 2020, that's 2.2 outstanding only for 6 months. So we multiply the 2. No other expenditure. So we push through with this one. So 19 times 13.2 plus 13.2 add na tong duha, we divide it by 12, and we will be getting our average expenditure of how much? It's 1,850,000. Okay, now take note, guys, this project, ship 343, has both specific borrowing component and general borrowing component. So if naa siya specific and general borrowing, what we do first, no, we get the specific borrowing, no? Step 3 is compute the borrowing cost or the capitalizable borrowing cost. So I'm gonna be picking up from step 2. Now we have our average expenditure of 1,850. So average expenditure of 1,850 less specific borrowing. So how much is our specific borrowing? So pila man? Pila? Should we use 2.2 million? So sige. Actually, we should be using 2 million. However, sa kaning libro, o sa kaning author, di ba ni ana siya nga i-average na to ang expenditure. Okay, so if we average the expenditure, so since it was used on January 1, 2020, so 750 was used all throughout the year. So, and the remaining, how much? The remaining 1 to 50. Sige, mo na siya ni siya. So this is how we apply, no? What was 1 to 50 times, dali lang, 1 to 50 times 6 over 12, 7, 5, 6 over 12, sorry, 625, yeah, 750 times 12 over 12. We should have a total of 1375. Okay, sige. All right. So just to explain to you guys again, no, same with what since this handout, no, is basing on author's preference, di ba? Si author, sa kaninga handout is that he prefers that when we have specific borrowing, no, we should do the same procedure as what we do with the expenses. So, di ba, nag-loan taog 2 million in January 1, 2020. So, this 2 million daw, no, kaning 2 million, 750,000 of this 2 million was used specifically, no, on the January 1, 2020 expenses. 1/1, 2020. Okay. That's why it's 750,000. Now, di ba 750,000 and it is outstanding for 12 months. Sige, dili ko na siya 12 over 12. So kung outstanding siya og 12 months, so that's 750 times 12. So this is for specific borrowing na. Specific borrowing. Okay, 750, 12. Now, the remaining, di ba, kahit natin 2 million gihulam. So, nag-consume na tag 750 out of this 2 million. So, meaning na apat tayo 1 to 50 nga nahabilin. And the remaining 1 to 50 were consumed on July 1, 2020. So, that's 6 months, di ba? Same with the illustration. Oh, same with average expenditure. 6 months. So, 1 to 50 multiplied by 6, that's 7.5 million. The total is 16.5. And similarly, ato siyang i-average. So, our specific borrowing is not 2 million, but 1,375,000. So, that's lang nalibat. Okay. So let's answer this alternatively later. Specific borrowing. That's 475,000. This one is for general borrowing. Okay. Now to compute for the capitalized borrowing cost, now we have general borrowing here. We multiply it with the weighted average capitalization rate. Cap rate. So we multiply 49,400. Now for specific borrowing, okay. So for specific borrowing, no, that is 2 million. Multiplied by 2 million multiplied by 13%. Okay. Mhm. That should be 309 na ba sa choices? Oh, wala. Okay, sige. I-revisit sa akong answer key. The answer key is, ano sa ganito? Ano sa ganito? The answer key is letter B. Okay. So kung letter B, that is lower than 309, so he might have done a different method. Sige. Kung different method, and lower siya, I think it should be, kani. So if we add na po ang duha, and so, kita mo lang. Okay, so this is letter B. Sige, this is quite confusing and actually relevant siya if it is for discussion. So, but actually guys, no, this one used the alternative, the second alternative method. Di ba ang second alternative method, nagamit siya og ano. So by the way, since second alternative man siya, unsa ko meaning sa second alternative? Dali lang ha. Kaning method guys. Sa katong previous nga question yung discuss nato, that's alternative, kaning another alternative, which is gihimo sa another alternative. Ako siya screenshot. So mo ni siya. Okay, bonus. Bonus siya guys. So I'm gonna be editing the answer key and don't worry guys, wala pa na ako siya na-generate. So kung ano siya, ako na siya na-revise, so your scores will also be revised. So if you're wrong on the on the first question. So bonus siya because wala naingon kung unsa nga method ang gamiton. Actually guys, for board exam purposes, wala din siya gaingon kung sa method because ani guys, and you'll understand when you're going to be in the higher accounting, and if puhon masipiina ka mo, that's actually accounting standards, especially in IFRS, is that it's very judgment based, and actually there is no specific prescription on a lot of accounting issues. So that's why there is, in this case, tulo ka solutions. Now sa kaninga problem, wala na ko siya nakuha sa katong gi-prefer ni author because this problem used the another alternative, di ba, libog kapoy. Di ba, another alternative is that same with the preferred ni author sa handout nga average ang specific borrowing like this one, say like I'm talking about the last week's example. However, nag-ano siya, 'di ba? However, when he computed in the another alternative, when he computed for the interest rate for the specific borrowing, nagamit pud siya og average nga specific borrowing, which is 866,667 in the previous question, but in this case we go to 1375. So using another alternative method niya siya. Diba, libog? Another alternative. Okay. So ano ko nga, maklarify na ako ang problem, ang issue, na doon nga, ano nga problem, nagamit og another alternative. Pero kung gamito na to guys, ang gitudlo, and the method that we are going to be using when we are going to be having our quizzes, same katong kay Valix, is that we are just going to be using the 1,850 as the full amount of the specific borrowing because 1,850 average expenditure, wala siya nag-exceed sa 2 million. So kana ang gamiton. Sige. I'll be sharing this one. So again, sa kaning nga problem, ginagamit og another alternative method. Okay. Now, I'm going to be sharing my screen for the next question because this question is theory. Okay, I think it's this one. So another alternative. So this one. Okay. Number 18. So, okay. So disclosure, guys. I just like to tell you guys that I'm not really keen on discussing disclosure. So I want you guys to just read what are the disclosure for past 23, and if kaya, memorize. So basically, so the answer here is letter D. So this is not a disclosure required by past 23. So what do we mean by disclosure? So items which are not reflected in the financial statements, which what I mean by financial statement is on the face, like balance sheet or in the income statement, but are required not to be disclosed in the notes. So sa imuhang notes to financial statements, now regarding your interests and your borrowing cost is that you should lay out what is your accounting policy adopted for borrowing cost, no? So do you capitalize them, or meaning when do you capitalize, or how do you determine if available for use na siya? How do you determine if commence na siya? Blah, blah, blah. And also where do you classify the interest expenses? Letter B, amount of borrowing cost capitalized. So that's also a required disclosure. And the capitalization rate used to determine the amount of borrowing costs. So it's number 18. So again, guys, I want you guys to highlight problem 17 and problem 15 and 16, number 15 and 16. And again, guys, the one that we are going to be using for our quizzes and exams will be alternative solution, which is katong gi-discuss nato, which is full amount specific borrowing and full amount specific borrowing for capitalized expenses. Okay, now let's go to the DIY. Okay. Sige. First question is scope of past 23. Again, past 23, the title for this standard is borrowing cost. So this does not only talks about capitalizable borrowing cost, but borrowing cost in general. Okay. So actual or imputed cost of equity. So, di ba, mag-ingon tag borrowing cost, guys. Na-mention ko na siya last meeting when there is a mention of equity, no? So, it's not borrowing cost because borrowing cost pertains to cost in or cost of getting a liability or cost of a liability. So, if equity, that's not in scope of past 23, meaning borrowing cost. So borrowing cost directly attributable to the acquisition, construction, or production of a qualifying asset measured at fair value. Again, guys, di ba, when we talk about qualifying assets, it's a qualifying asset, if the asset is not measured. Di ba, na-mention ako dito last meeting is that if the assets are measured at fair value, the assets cannot be qualifying assets. So therefore, past 23 does not apply. Also, past 23 does not apply to inventories that are manufactured or otherwise produced in large quantities or on a repetitive basis. So, di ba, na-mention na po din ako last time. So, does not apply to man ang question. So, the answer here is A, B, and C. So, meaning letter D, all of the above. Okay. So, next question. So, answer here is letter D. Let me check sa statistics kung how many of you answered correctly sa mga questions for a while. Saan ko siya mag-check ko eh. Okay. Pero sabot, dali lang. Responses, summary. So number 17, actually a lot of you guys got the correct answer. Very good. But again, I put it as bonus. For number 18, a lot of you guys also got the correct answer. Very good. So 18 sa number 18, 71% of you got the correct answer. For this DIY drill in number 1, so a lot of you also got the correct answer, 58%. So I guess I understand na nung letter A ang answer sa uban because automatically, masulod sa yung ulo, pagbasa ninyo actual or implied cost of equity, nakita niyo yung equity, uy, wala din ba pa 33. So wala ka makakita siguro nga naay all of the above. So kung naay so muna siguro muna sa akong story nganong nagdagdagan sa nag-answer letter A. So nag-answer sa letter A sa number 1 is 34%. So 28 students answered letter A. Sayang basin wala ninyo nabasa si B and C. O si D, kay naay all of the above. 58% or 47 students nag-answer letter D sa number 1. Sa number 2, the correct answer here, wait sa. Naglibog na ako. Okay. Wala ko nabutangan og number 2 guys, no? Number 1, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7. Okay. So nag-skip ko sa number 2. Okay. Sige. Another one, I'm gonna be adding plus points, plus 1 to everyone. So kayo na-miss na ko ang number 2. So I'm gonna discuss number 2. Number 2 answer is letter D. So I'm gonna read out, a qualifying asset is an asset that necessarily takes a substantial period of time to get ready for its intended use or sale. So question, which of the following may not be? So unsa diri ang dili ma-considered as qualifying asset? Okay, so again, unsa to answer gani? Answer letter D. On letter a power generation plant that normally takes 2 years. Power generation plant normally takes 2 years, so that's a substantial period of time. So that is a qualifying asset. Toll bridge, more than a year, substantial period of time, qualifying asset. Ship, 1 to 2 years, that is substantial period of time, a qualifying asset. Letter D, an expensive private jet that can be purchased. Diba? Qualifying asset lang siya if it takes a substantial period of time. So therefore, letter D is the answer. Okay, number 3. Which of the following borrowing costs qualify for capitalization? Okay, so borrowing costs incurred while land is under development during the period in which activities related to development are being undertaken. Ano sa answer? Number 4 is letter, number? Dali lang. Number 3 di ay. So number 3 is, kana kita lagid, letter A. Okay, so which of the following borrowing costs qualify for capitalization? O kano sa siya ma-qualify sa capitalization daw? So borrowing cost incurred while land is under development during the period in which activities related to the development are being undertaken. So number 1, di ba, what's our qualification, or when do we commence capitalization of borrowing? Di ba? We have 3, di ba? First is that borrowing costs have been incurred, expenditures have been incurred. So expenditures, borrowing costs. Number 3 is activities. So since there's already activities, obviously there's already expenses incurred. Since there's already borrowing costs incurred, we have already qualified for the 3. Again, expenses, borrowing costs, and activities. So letter A qualifies under the commencement. So that's why no, ma-qualify siya for capitalization. So let's discuss B and C because D is none of the above. B, borrowing cost incurred while land acquired for building purposes is held without any associated development activity. Wala. Actually, this land is what we call an investment property because wala siya intended use pa. No? Actually, sorry. For building purposes. Okay, so I take it back. It's land under PPE. However, wala pa'y borrowing cost na pwede makapitalize because wala pa'y activities. Di ba natay tulo? Again, expenditures. Number 2, borrowing cost. Number 3, activities. All should exist in order for us to capitalize. Okay, so ibalik na ko kung sa ito qualification na diri sa question. Kung sa ganito, kani commencement, di ba? Commencement. Nana ko, expenditures, kani. Number 2, borrowing cost. Number 3, activities. So kung wala pa nang exist ang tulo, dili pataka commence. Okay, that's going back to here. So letter C, borrowing cost during an extended period in which the entity suspends. This one is suspension. So if there is extended period of suspension, we are not required to capitalize anymore. No? Actually, we are required to suspend the capitalization. So therefore, does not qualify for capitalization gihapon. So B and C are wrong. Letter A is correct. Okay, let's jump to number 4. So answer for, let's check number 3 as a statistics. A lot of you got the correct answer. Very good. So number 4, so mixed but most of you guys still got the correct answer. So January 1, 2020, Richmond Inc. signed a fixed price contract to have builders associates construct a major plant facility. So ang cost sa facility is 4 million. Our start date or contract date is January 1, but of course we need to look for the expenditures activity borrowing cost in order for us to commence the capitalization. Okay. Also on January 1, 2020 to finance the construction cost, natay gihulam. So question guys, what is this 4 million? What is this 4 million guys? Is this a general borrowing or is this a specific borrowing? General or a specific, correct, no? This is a specific borrowing. So it has an interest rate of 11%. During 2020, Richmond made deposit and progress payments, meaning this 1.5 million, guys, is our expenditures. So of course, guys, nagkuha tag contractor, no? Nya ang payment daw nato sa progress ni contractor is 1.5 million. So this one is part of our expenditures. So the excess borrowed funds were invested in short-term securities and not the investment income. So again, di ba, kung specific borrowing alone lang ta, so to compute for the capitalizable interest, no, we have to compute for the interest expense minus the investment income. Just to simplify this one, I'll say answer guys is number 4. Answer sa number 4 is letter B, should be 190. So computation lang guys, I just want to confirm with you, 4 million multiplied by 11%, no? And that should be deducted by 250,000 pesos. And I think it should be 190. This is 11,440 minus 250, 50, 40, 440, correct ba? 190 guys. 190,000, correct, no? 4 million times 11, 4%, 440 minus 250 is equals to 190,000 pesos. The answer is letter B. A lot of you guys got the correct answer. 37 students, 44%. So number 5, on January 1, 2020, the Pyongyang company took out a loan of 26 million in order to finance the renovation of a building. So the renovation work started on the same date. So the loan carried interest at 10%. And okay, so ang loan na to is 26 million to finance the renovation. So this one is a specific borrowing. It has an interest of 10%. The work was completed on October 2020. Take note guys, January 1 ta nag-start and na-complete siya October 31. Meaning, our construction period is only how many months guys? Pila lang atong construction period? Pila lang ka months? That is how many months? Only 10 months. So we need, kung mag-average siya sa expenditure, over 10 lang ta. Kaya di ta ka over 12. Kay 10 months naman to construction period. Nabayra na to on December 2020. So meaning, kung 10 months lang ang construction period, di ba, mag-ingon tag cessation of capitalization, we will cease the capitalization of the interest if the building is substantially complete. Since it was substantially complete on October 31, our capitalization of interest should also stop on October 21. Okay. So therefore, any interest na nagadagan from November to December shall be recognized as expense and not capitalized. Okay. So the loan that was repaid on December 31, 2020 and 180,000 investment income was earned in the period to October 31. So, okay, wala tagi palisod. So until October 31, kay 180 ang na-earn. Okay, so immediately, how much is our borrowing cost, guys? So how do we compute? So the answer here, by the way, is letter B. Now, 1986667. So I want you guys to compute for yourself. Sige, ako na lang kay naka-answer naman kamo daw. Sige. Share my screen. Hindi ko na ako lang. Okay, so 26 million multiplied by 10%, 2.6 million times 10 over 12. So 2.6 million times 10 months over 12 months. So our interest is 216,667 less income of 180. So our capitalizable borrowing cost should be 1986667, letter B. Okay, so I think this is clear now. Correct, no? 1986667. Very good. So I'm not gonna be sharing again the tab. Okay. Number 6, Brin Company. So Brin Company started construction on new office on January 1 and moved into the finished building on July 1. So that's January 1 until July 1, that's 18 months, no, 1 year and 6 months of construction. Now the building's 5 million total cost, no? The cost from January 1 to July 1, that's the 18 months of construction, 5 million daw. Now, out of this 5 million na total cost, 1 million was incurred in 2020 evenly. Kung mag-igon evenly, so kung mag-average siya sa 4 million, kung mag-igon evenly, i-divide lang nato siya by 2. Kani guys. Again, if mag-ingon mag-ingon og evenly sa kaning sa mga problems no for borrowing cost, di ba kay kailangan pa man nato ni siya i-average si 4 million kay dili man tato siya ma-assume nga kaning 4 million na expend ni siya January 1, 2020. So therefore if mag-ingon tag evenly kaning 4 million atoan siyang tungaon by 2. So 2 million atong average expenditure here. So Brent's incremental borrowing rate was 12% and the total amount of increase incurred by Brent during 2020 was 204. So ang actual nato is 204. Sige, let me lay out this one on the Excel. Aron ato siya masabtan fully better. Okay, here. All right. So again guys, ang total nato nga expenditure for the 18 months is 5 million. And out of this 5 million, in 2020 na incur na to ang 4 million. However guys, di ba kung mag-ingon tag expenditure, kailangan pa nato i-average. So since wala mag-iingon, kanos ani gi expend or kanos ani gigamit ang 4 million, our assumption is that it is incurred evenly. Actually, it was specifically stated in the problem that is incurred evenly. Di ba kung mag-ingon tag average, no? Ang common or ang basic na ang average, di ba? Kung mag-average ta, i-divide na to siya by 2. Example, ang average sa 10 is this actually. It's ano. Pero di ba usually kung mag-average siya, ato siyang i-divide by the number of items. No, kung mag-ingon tag evenly, even. That's divided by 2. So average expenditure na to for in 2020 is 4 million divided by 2. That's 2 million if incurred evenly. Now, we have an incremental borrowing rate of 12% and the actual interest incurred during 2020 was 204. So, since wala may giingon, take note guys, tanawa, na ba giingon na ay loan dire? Wala. So therefore, therefore we don't have specific borrowing since wala specific loan nga giingon dire. Only the rate was mentioned. So if this one, we assume that this 2 million was financed through general borrowing. Di ba kung mag-general borrowing ta, once we got our average expenditure, we multiply it with our interest rate. So in this case, the interest rate was 12%. So 2 million times 12%. This one has a plot twist in this question actually. Okay. Wala sagda akong keyboard as akong times 3. Kana. Times 12%, that's 240. So 240 ang ato ang computed borrowing cost, capitalizable borrowing cost. So kung nag-answer kag 240, let me check kung pila ka buok ang nag-answer 240. This is number 6. Nakog 7. Number 6. Okay. Very good. Oh, daghan nag-answer og 204. Nice. Very good. So 204 siya because the computed amount was 204. The computed amount was 240, which is letter B. But i-compare natin siya sa actual, it's only 204. Diba? As what I mentioned in our previous meetings, whichever is lower between the two, that should be our capitalized borrowing cost. So actual cost is lower, which is 204K. So very good, Marie Claire. That's 204, letter A. Yes, very good, Novi. Nice. Okay, nice, very good. Number 7. Page company. So answer in this problem is letter B, 49K. Let me check if how many of you got the correct answer. Yes, very good, no? Daghan mo nag-answer letter B. So Page Company borrowed 400,000 on a 10% note payable to finance a new warehouse Page is constructing. The only other debt in the Page book is 600,000, 12% mortgage payable. So at the end of the current year, average accumulated expenditures of the new warehouse totaled average sa daan. Naka-average sa daan ng 475. So this 400,000 is specific borrowing. So specific borrowing, kanina sad since completed siya. Okay. Anyway, fine lang kay wala siya dates nga giingon. So we assume that it's full amount. So average expenditure nato is 475. Di na detail nga computation na. 475 atong average expenditure, guys. Nga pangtangon sa nato si specific which is 400. Oh my god, wala suga akong keyboard. Ato ang for general borrowing 75. For SB GB, this is average. So 75 times 12% now, which is our general borrowing interest rate. Multiply nato or ang capitalization rate nato. That's 9,000. And for our specific borrowing, this is general borrowing. And for our specific borrowing, we multiply the actual of 400,000 times 10% interest. Ano lang? That's 40,000. No? Hindi na ako i-calculate. That's 40K. So 9 plus 40, that is 49 letter B. Very good. 72 students answered correctly. 82%. Very good. Last question. Aries. So Aries Company started construction on a building on January 1 of this year and completed construction on December 31 of the same year. So Aries had only 2 interest notes outstanding during the year, and both of these notes were outstanding for all 12 months of the year. So the following information is available. Okay. So again, balik ko na nakabasa maayo. Duha tong interest notes and both outstanding for 12 months. Okay. So average expenditure is 250. Ending balance in construction progress before capitalization of interest. So this one is the total expenditure. This one is the average expenditure. We have one specific borrowing and we have one general borrowing of 9%. So we have 250 na specific na average expenditure. Ako na lang let me check first the statistics. For a while. Okay, very good. A lot of you guys got the correct answer. So we take out the specific borrowing. Napula na lang siya, guys, ha. Average minus specific borrowing of 150. Anyway, we already got the correct answer here, most of you guys. So I would not really dwell on explaining this again. 12 months. So multiplied by what is the answer, no? 9% capitalization rate. Nanong negative? Okay, nanong negative sum siya. Anong sum siya? So 9,000 for general borrowing, and for specific borrowing, we have 150 times 6. Kasi answer ano? Letter C, no? 18,000. Ayan. So general borrowing is 9. Specific borrowing is also 9. Okay, so that's it for borrowing cost. So let's have a 10-minute break and and I'm going to be continuing with the next topic, which is land and building. So it's kind of a short topic, hopefully. So ang topic na to after this one is another acquisition method actually is the construction method plus the topic of land and building. So again guys, please do research on the following. Sulat na ko sa sulat na ko sa chat box pick Q and Q and lang struggle ko pangita ako na lang Q&A 2012-2. Q&A 2012-2. Sige, see you 6:45. Breaks at ta. So see you